We're talking to Fran Wilde, who is put her hat in the ring for the mayoralty of South Wairarapa. Good afternoon, Fran.
Kia ora, Tina. How are you?
I'm really, really good. Are you over in Wairarapa at the moment, or are you in Wellington?
No, I'm just on my way to Wellington Airport, but I'm not driving. I've stopped. I'm flying. I'm flying to Auckland for a board meeting, and so unfortunately, yes, it would be great not to have to fly to Auckland all the time. So, yeah.
So, Fran, what made you decide to seek the mayoralty?
Well, actually, people kept in Wellington and Wairarapa kept saying to me, "Oh, you should be our mayor." Wellington was a no because I've been there, done that, and also I've moved to Wairarapa. We've been ratepayers about 20 years, and about 3 or 4 years ago we built what they call the Forever House now.
Yeah.
And moved my electoral registration, and I said, no, I'm a Wairarapa resident and I love Wairarapa, and South Wairarapa is fantastic. And maybe instead of these boards which I chair, I could do something to help the community by basically being as the chair of the council, the mayor. And with all the contacts I have and all the knowledge I have, was kind of hoping that would be useful for them.
Yeah, and it's been a wee while since you've been in local government, I suppose.
It has.
Yeah, and we've seen. I mean, you know, as someone who lives in Wairarapa, it's been quite sad to see what's happened with the South Wairarapa District Council.
Yes,
and it's a really weird beast because it has the 2 community boards, or 3 community boards, doesn't it?
Three.
Yeah, that's right. Martinborough, Featherston, and Greytown, and they all have very different makeups. So you have Greytown, and the other 2, which are representative of their communities and stuff. But it's a very different dynamic than the other 2. So what are some of the things that you could do as a mayor if you get the nod?
Well, having observed it, and as I said, being paid rates there for 20-something years, I have observed that the decision-making is very slow.
Yes.
And I think they need to speed it up without being silly about it, but they need to do things more speedily. They need to be probably more transparent. There's a lot of criticism of people not knowing what's going on or the council not talking to them. It's, you know, when you're a community leader like that, you kind of belong to everyone. It's awfully hard to do, but you have to be available, and I think that's important, even for people you don't agree with. And believe me, in the last couple of weeks since I announced this, a lot of people I don't agree with have been in touch with me. A lot I do agree with too. So, you know, you've got to say, okay, it's reasonable that they can all have a chat and you can find out. And honestly, that's part of it. The other part is actually using some of my vast network of acquaintances, etc., and business acquaintances and political ones to help Wairarapa. So it's not just chairing the council, it's actually all the stuff you do outside of the council. But the biggest issue is their water, wastewater, and the debt that's incurring. And I don't have any quick answers for that. So I'm just saying to everyone, no big promises, not promising to keep the rates rise to 3%. That would not work. It's actually doing the work really well, communicating with people and making some good decisions in a reasonable time frame.
Now, I cheekily put on your Facebook, you should be standing for all 3. Because when there was a candidate who did that at the last one, and I thought, wow, I wished I'd have thought of that, because it is actually there is some sense in it. There is actually some sense in it, and I just wondered whether you considered it.
For a nanosecond, I think it would be seen by people as just a big kind of power grab. So the answer is no, but we need to make sure that we get all of the councils with good people on them, the 3 of them, because one thing is another plank of mine is collaboration. We just have to work together much more. We are in a lot of areas, which is great, but there's more we can do. And frankly, you know, outside of this, where I'm on the board of Destination Wairarapa, and we've looked at a EDA, an Economic Development Agency, with the Chamber of Commerce, so that's good. So those sorts of things where you're saving resource and you're getting the critical mass you need to be able to do things properly.
Yeah, because I mean, ED's I've been economic development manager for the council and all sorts of stuff. And to be frank, it's the economic development stuff has gone round and round and up its own butt basically over the last 5 years and hasn't achieved bugger all. And I know Dame Margaret she had the right idea, but left too early to implement some of the stuff that needed to be implemented. So what do you see as like you, I've been on board of Destination Wairarapa. So how do we sort of put tourism on steroids in the Wairarapa?
Well, I think it does have to be done region-wide, which Destination Wairarapa is. But all the other little things, like you will know, for instance, product development, we can't do. We're funded to do promotion, but product development is critical for tourism. So if we want to put it on steroids and make it go faster, we need to make sure we have the good little companies and the bigger ones, and that they are getting the right help they need to build their businesses. We need infrastructure. We need really good rail infrastructure, frankly, to get people to and from Wellington regularly and speedily. We need good roads in the tourist areas.
What about the airport?
Airport would be phenomenal to have a functioning airport. It doesn't need to go everywhere in New Zealand, but there are little airports in other places too. So I think having an EDA would actually pull a lot of that together and under the same roof, and people would talk to one another. So we've got all these tiny little organisations with steering groups and boards and different kind of, and they're all really great people. But if we had them together, I think we'd do better.
Yes.
So so I'm really keen on that. But collaboration is critical. We're too small. In South Wairarapa, we've got 12,000 people, a huge land area. So our farming area is really important for us. It kind of underpins a lot of economic activity. They need to have confidence in the council and know that they're being listened to. But the big issue is for sure rates, and we don't know what they're going to come out with. They're doing their long-term plan now. They're going to come out with the net rates, projected rates increases for the next few years. I don't know what they'll be. So we'll kind of look at that when it comes out.
Yeah, because it's not easy for councils to set rates at the moment because of stuff.
The government says you have to do your water properly, and we do, but there's no help there to do it.
No.
And so... And we get a lot of tourists, and of course, using in South Wairarapa in particular, the services are used by many, many visitors who just come in, and they're not paying for any of those services. So there are big conundrums for us, but they can be resolved, and everybody has to give a little. So if nobody's going to get exactly what they want. No.
And there's two things that, so you carry a little bit of baggage, as someone suggested the other day, because you fought hard for when amalgamation was being looked at as for the councils to come into Wellington. What's your stance on that now?
Well, look, that's finished. It's never going to happen now. I can see that. It wasn't for them all to come into Wellington. It was for them to form one council, including right Kapiti Coast and Wairarapa and Wellington. And but people didn't want it. They don't want to be sitting on the edge of a bigger area. I can see that. So no, that's not it. Right now, I know that for some time the mayors and councils have been talking about just Wairarapa amalgamation, and that I presume that conversation will go on. I haven't been privy to that, but they've certainly been actively talking about it.
And Tararua, I think, is there too.
Tararua,